Hi, I am Amoy Smith. I studied the Cultural and Creative Industries degree with a concentration in International Relations and Cinematic and Audiovisual Arts in the year of 2020 to 2023. After I completed my degree, a year later, I was able to work into the entertainment industry, specifically the film industry, which is where my passion lies. Fortunate to be able to go so in depth into the industry because all the skills that I've gained at UE, I was able to utilize them and from previous experiences to be more hands-on on the job and to just fulfill a career that I've been dreaming about since I was a child. And once more, I am Amoy Smith, proud graduate of the University of the West Indies, Mona.
The Creative Frequency Podcast is brought to you by the Institute of Caribbean Studies, under the umbrella of the Faculty of Humanities and Education at the University of the West Indies, Mona. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or wherever you can catch us. Thank you for joining us while we explore Jamaica's cultural and creative industries. My name is Rachel Ann Fenderson.
And I'm Radika Myers. Together we are
R Square, the co-host of the Creative Frequency Podcast. Radika, tell me about a time when a particular scent reminded you of a memory. What does that scent smell like?
I don't have any memories per se attached to scents, but as a perfume connoisseur, I like to consider myself as a perfume connoisseur. When I smell scents, I smell experience. So if I like the Arabian Sky Armoff, that smell like a good little outing on a date night, you know? And when I smell like Covered in Roses, that's a Bath and Body Works mitts. I just think of love. I think of a wedding day. So I don't particularly attach any sense to memory, but to experiences that I can see those scents suited for. Again, big up Manaya's Closet, the baddest perfume plug. And Rachel, what about you? What are some of your memories that are attached to scents?
Lately, I've been randomly smelling men's cologne, particularly Valentino men's scent. That's actually the scent that my dad wore. One day I was in the Macy's department store in Florida with my mom. It was around Father's Day. And he was trying on these different colognes. And then he said, yeah, man, I that. And so that's the one I ended up getting him. But yeah, and ever since then, I smell it. And my father passed away, but I smell it around the apartment. I smell it on my clothes. I'll smell it in random places. So I think maybe that's his way of saying hello. And then there's other scents for me that comes up. The smells of food. Like anytime I smell certain food, sometimes it brings me right back to a memory. Particularly when I smell like fritters or like ackee and saltfish that is being made or breadfruit that's being roasted. Yeah, for sure. So speaking of that, what's your favorite perfume?
I don't have one favorite perfume. I love a good scent. So when it comes down to female scent right now in the lead for me, I would say Victoria's Secret, Bombshell Seduction. When I say chef's kiss, I mean chef's kiss. Ladies, go and get that perfume. Like, people are going to stop you. People are going to ask you, what are you wearing? It smells good and it is so long lasting, right? But I prefer men's scents, to be honest. And I'm feeling the Lattafa brand. I'm feeling the Armoff brand, that Arabian Sky that I spoke of just now. When I say fresh, clean, and just all around nice and long lasting, like you will wash your clothes and the scent will still be on it. So I definitely have to say for now, for today, because my favorites change every day, the Victoria Bombshell Seduction and the Arabian Armoff Arabian Sky. I would definitely say those two. What is your favorite perfume, Rach?
All right, so my favorite perfumes, I have many, not just one, but my longtime favorite perfume, I've worn it since I was 16, is called Lolita Lempica. French perfume, love it down. Anytime I wear it, everybody always asks me what I'm wearing. One time a person told me I smell like passion fruit. It's lovely. I love it. All right. So my other favorite perfume is Bond Number 9 Hudson Yards. It smells so fresh, so clean. I also wear Baby Doll YSL. I wear Jean Lavon. Jean. I wear Burberry. I also wear Versace Dylan Blue. And then from the body shop, Satsuma. So Satsuma literally means it's a Japanese way of saying orange. So I also love scents that are very citrus base flavored. So it smells really good to me. And then I also love mixing perfumes together to make a new scent. So my favorite thing is to call it a perfume cocktail.
Girl, I same so me love sweet up, sweet up. Yeah, in Jamaica we say sweet up, sweet up. And everybody's supposed to know the Elite perfume. It's a Jamaican brand. Very affordable. Like you can get one bottle for $250 in a one Chinese man store. And you see them have this one called Jasmine and the honey. My love spray them together, and you will find me spraying that together, and you will find me also putting on a Bath and Body Works a platinum. So like me, my friend them there go. We take up on a walk to look out Sunday evening. I'm gonna just put on some jasmine, and then I just layer that with some platinum Bath and Body Works. So when you thought, well, sweet up, and mix up, I might style that. Speaking of perfume cocktail and sweet up, have you ever experienced making scents from scratch?
Okay, so I have seen many perfumeries in Paris on Rue Saint-Honoré. That's in the first arrondissement. Now, last year when I went to a perfumery with an associate and made personalized perfumes and colognes, it was such a wonderful experience, from the ambiance to the formula to naming of the bottles to how the owners made us feel. Exquisite. 10 out of 10. I would love to go back and make a new scent.
You know what? There is actually a perfumery right here in Kingston called the Prince de Bruce. Let's hear from the brainchild perfumer, Edwin Bruce. Exemplar of culture, perfumer Edwin Bruce. Today we welcome Edwin Bruce, the visionary perfumer and founder of Prince D. Bruce, a high-end niche fragrance house based in Kingston City. His journey is a true Caribbean narrative. After years of honing his craft and developing his first fragrance, Chosen, at a perfumery in Colombia, he felt a powerful calling to return home to Jamaica. Since launching Prince de Bruce in 2019 and opening his official storefront in 2021, Edwin has specialized in custom scents, including his locally inspired Blue Mountain fragrance, turning memory and passion into signature perfumes. Welcome, Mr. Edwin.
Thank you for having me.
So, your journey from a creative concept to a successful niche perfumery in Kingston is very inspiring. You indeed are one of one. Could you walk us through the origin story of your brand? How did you initially break into the highly specialized field of custom fragrance and luxury product creation?
I feel the sense of accomplishment because I get to be on a platform where I'm able to speak to persons who are aspiring, perfumers, and for persons who are the connoisseurs, and for those who love scent and would want to be educated on it. Now, you mentioned the first scent I created, Chosen. So I want to respond to how I got into the world of perfumery. Chosen. So for me, perfumery chose me. I didn't choose it. The economical position of my life growing up as a young man in Jamaica with a single mother, we lived from the bare minimum. And so for many, when life gave them lemon, they were making lemonades. And I congratulate them. But I was using those lemons to make sense. See, my mom were withheld to support the family financially. was through selling fruits. And so whatever wasn't sold on a particular day would be brought back to the house to be stored. So I'm always in that presence of scent. I'm always smelling. And she would play this game with us when she gets home in the evening of hiding a fruit or fruits behind her, and we have to just get as close as possible and without any visual be able to identify which fruit she was holding behind her. And I found that I would get the answer correct most of the time. That I used to wonder if mom was telling me secretly what fruit it was. Luckily, well, we didn't have WhatsApp that time, so they weren't able to say. She texted me. And then I went to Veer Technical High, and when all my friends, my male friends were doing the electrical engineering and the auto mechanic, I chose agriculture. And that's where I got exposed to organic chemistry and understanding how properties react with each other. The other thing about it is that being exposed to a wider range of scents. Because with mom, it was always fruits and vegetables. But attending Veer Technical High and doing agriculture, now I'm interacting with animals. So the different feces, the different chemicals that we had to use before cleaning or for medical purposes to clean the wounds of the animals. And then after a while, I started saying to myself, no scent is bad. I don't know for those listening out there, like, no, sir, some scent bad. But I look at the deeper meaning of what it is that a scent represents. Because in everything that is bad, there is good. So for me, I'd always find the good. So for example, let's look at the J's. If you know J's that they'll use, that's a very pungent scent that, persons would. But if you look at the benefit of it, so I'm always looking at the benefit. And for that reason, I'm saying, if you can bypass the pain to get to the benefit, you look at an injection. It's painful with the needle, but the benefits of it. So that's my approach in life, very optimistic. So as it relates to getting into the fragrance world, my ambition was to get into law. But in high school, I also got into the church. And so I studied. After leaving high school, I went straight to Bible school, seminary, and I studied there. And on my missionary journey, I went to Dominican Republic. And I was working in an orphanage, right at the border of Haiti and Dominican Republic in a small town called Arabacoa. And that's where in working, there were a lot of Asian kids there. And so a lot of their cultural expressions and things that they love would be there. So there they were with a plant called the Asian vetiver. And so it was compressed, and I started to smell that plant, and it excited something in my brain. And came back to Jamaica, and right after I migrated to the States, and I was in New York working in Manhattan on the east side in a perfume house. And the only job I was given was just to attach the labels to the different bottles that carried the scent. So someone would indicate to me, this is a strawberry, but the person that was supposed to do that would oftentimes be late coming into work. And I would go ahead and stick the labels on, and I'd get every single one right. Every single one. And so they would give me a pat on the shoulder, and I liked that. So it inspired me. And also the fact that I was taking initiative. So I was allowing the work to advance. We never had to wait on that particular gentleman to, instruct me on which bottle to put it. The problem with working there in that moment, what I thought was the nickname they gave me. So everyone started calling me the nose. And being the only black guy working there, I thought it was very insulting, very like a racist comment. So I didn't take kindly to that. I was tempted to leave without saying anything to the manager. But the way I grew up, back again into the church and, understanding principles and being, proper about the way you go about doing things, I submitted a resignation. And I was asked, why? I said, I don't appreciate the racist comment. He said, what racist comment? He said, the guys are calling me the nose. And that manager, he laughed so hard, he almost fell off his chair. And it increased the negative emotions I was feeling at the moment. Because to me, it was adding insult to injury. Here am I telling you about these guys calling me the nose. And he said, Bruce, come here, my son. He said, the nose is actually a compliment. He said, it's the moniker for a great perfumer. The talent that you possess. The talent you possess. And, I came out of that office apologizing to every one of my colleagues there because I did not know. So they sponsored my trip and I went to England and the journey started there. And in England, I was exposed to a different kind of perfumery, a different kind of fragrances. You talk about the ouds and the different thing. And then the climate, though, New York is cold as well, but it's a different type of cold in England. And it's usually, it's a longer period. So they use a lot of oud material and being exposed to it and the whole idea so that's where you'll find what I would say luxury perfume world. And the talent I brought, the natural raw talent, because I was able to develop a scent profile without using a chemical chart. Just from scenting. And that in itself, just the talent opened the doors for me. So for me, I didn't get in when I went to New York. I didn't get in when I went to England. I got in when mom started bringing those fruits to the house.
And indeed, awe-inspiring origin story, one of triumph, faith, resilience, and you would have spoke to turning your lemons into lemonade, or in your case, sense. Could you pinpoint one or two of the most significant ups and downs you faced in the growing business? And what key advice would you offer to an emerging entrepreneur who is passionate about launching their own creative brand right here in Jamaica?
The ups and the downs for me was the same coin with two different sides. Because being a Jamaican, the down for me was changing the perceptions of persons here. We're a culture where we'll get the same flower made in Jamaica, but we want foreign flower. Or, a designer could make you a nice blouse, but nothing like seeing the tags about making yours. A foreign might think come from. So it's about changing the perception that luxury and excellence as it relates to perfume can be achieved here. So changing the perception for me, being able to educate and say to them, come in and have this olfactory experience was quite a challenge, and I don't necessarily call challenges down, because it's in the downs that I always find the diamond, the rough. Sometimes you have to just polish it a little bit. So I had to polish their perception in terms of them getting to realize that in the very thing that you think is impossible is where your uniqueness stands, because here you're able to create for you. Most of what we wear in Jamaica are designer scents. And though I'm not knocking designer scents, there are many great designer scents out there. And my colleagues have made quite a few that I sing my praises to them as it relates to that. But here, individuals are able to get to create their own, a scent for you, by you, and the ups for me is the very same persons being able to congratulate and to say, wow, this is Jamaica. This is brand Jamaica. And that's the kind of response I'm getting from the Jamaica Tourist Board, from the foreigners. It's become, now when you're coming to Jamaica, persons are looking forward to the oxtail, the beaches, the jerk chicken, and now the fragrance. So what I'd say to persons who want to break into this market space is to, one, follow your story. Follow your story. Outside of the academic necessities that you need to, achieve or get yourself, well read in the area so you understand, so you minimize the mistakes, because mistakes will happen, Some of the greatest brands, I don't know if you guys know the story of the Chanel No. 5, that is actually accidentally that they created that masterpiece because the guy had put, I think, too much aldehyde in it. It's a very delicate compound to work with. And what they considered a mistake at the time ended up being a masterpiece. So I'd say to persons, follow your story. Your authenticity is what's going to lend to your uniqueness and put you on a platform by yourself. That self-identity. So it has to be your story. So follow your story. Don't try to be Prince Bruce, because you're going to live in a life of comparison. Just live in a life of becoming the better or the best version of yourself. Your story can only be told best by you. So follow your story.
Awesome stuff. And as it is that you continue to harmonize, because you say that you are the harmonizer in this process, how is it that you incorporate the Jamaican history, culture, and or nurture to influence the narrative and names of your perfume lines beyond just the use of the tropical notes?
Good. I am happy that you asked that, because it goes back to our first, one of the earlier questions about, the perceptions, Jamaican and luxury perfumes able to come out here. I have lived in about 15 countries, traveled to more. And everywhere I've gone, Jamaica has its own space, the global world of conversation. When you say Jamaica, attention is given, both with the eyes and the ears. Persons pause to hear what's going to be said. So one of the conversation piece is the Blue Mountain coffee. Rivals any, I remember, because I study a lot in Colombia and I still visit. And today it is always one of the hottest topic anywhere you go, from the church to the bar. Oh, who had the best coffee? Is it Jamaica or Colombia? So that's one of the notes that I use in a perfume, the Blue Mountain. And I did some test bottles of the Blue Mountain, and they were sold off in record time. And it's because of that note, that distinctness of that coffee, it differentiates itself. It has a voice that is like the Jamaican patois. When you hear a patois wherever you are, I remember living in many countries, and if you say patois, if you're speaking patois in a crowded place, it's different from every other language. And I can look, and some languages are very close. You say, is it Chinese or is it Japanese or, there, but the Jamaican, it stands out, remarkably. So I'm sourcing stuff like the allspice. We'll use, because I know the common, the jackfruit scents and the everything that but we try to find some stuff that resonates with the people and the entire diaspora. And then we take it further, because we're loved and persons want to share into that which is the spirit of Jamaica. So, of course, I am going to use some of the things when you come to Jamaica. The cinnamon is different. When I purchase some cinnamon from a source from other spaces, other countries, it's a different glow that it gives that perfume, a different aura that comes out when you use the Jamaican cinnamon that's planted. There's something about our soil. So whenever you could take the same tree or a spice or whatever it is, and plant it in a different country, and then you plant the same one in Jamaica, and you're going to have a different result. And so sourcing, I try to get a lot of the raw materials from Jamaica. Because what a lot of persons don't know, take for example, I mentioned earlier about the Asian vetiver. Because we're used to perfume, France being the center of the perfume world. A lot of persons, if you ask them, they don't know that Asian vetiver is actually from Haiti. I just came back from the Bahamas, where I had conversation with the Prime Minister and blended for him and some of the delegates and, a community called Acklins. And they have a plant there called the Cascarilla. It's unique to the Bahamas. And when you use, it's the same, they use it in the Campari. So the idea of using that which identifies, which set you apart, it is. But a lot of time, what we do, we send out what we have, and then it's sent back to us, and that's when we appreciate it. So the spices are here, the very spices you get in your perfume. And one of my favorite, I always talk about it. Do you know, have you heard of neroli? So the neroli is used widely in perfume, especially luxury perfume. It's actually from the civil orange. You know that ugly orange, called sour orange? So we have it here. So I don't need to go to France or anywhere in Europe to get that. It's right here. It's a flower from the civil orange tree. And when you put it, so here it is. It's, like for example, you have a talent here and all the talents, you sell them to another country or they're somewhere, they export it and then you sing praises to the other country and not realizing that very talent that you see on the stage collecting those accolades is actually originally from Jamaica. So I am now unearthing a lot of these truth is reality for the wider public to see and to appreciate. Yeah.
You would have touched briefly on the issue of how in Jamaica, we have a culture of, seeing things made in Kingston as not luxury versus the international tags. And, you would have given us a brief synopsis on how it is that you have cultivated this premium brand identity. Could you tell us how it is that you continue to ensure that you maintain to the consumers that, hey, a made in Kingston perfume is a desirable luxury item?
What it is that I put people first. What I do is primarily about you having an experience. I remember in perfume school, one of my mentors said to me, in the world of perfumery, it's one of the gifts that you will give persons that they'll want to hug you. They'll want to go beyond a handshake. And so once you walk through those doors to create your own scent, I intend on you leaving happier than you came in, more educated in the world of perfumery than you came in. I'm always brainstorming on how to make the brand better. I see myself as a servant. And in serving, I realize that some persons don't know what they want. They're not able to describe even their scent profile. And because scents are made based on seasons, based on the space that you're in, what is it you're looking for? So much is attached to it, the psychological aspects of it. What is it you want to say? Because it's a nonverbal conversation. And so I don't canvas. There's no one set thing that I just put across for everyone. So it's an individual thing. Like you come to a doctor and I'm going to diagnose. I want to know what's the purpose. What's your story? What is it that we're going to bottle today? So that's how I ensure I will not try to give a scent that I'd give to you to someone else for many reasons. One, scent comes off different skins differently. A combination skin, a dry skin, and an oily skin. And again, as I said, it's your story. What is it you want to say? In every aspect, it's about you're going to choose. Persons ask me quite often, why do you get 100% 5-star on your website? And I say to them, it has nothing to do with very little to do with my chemistry background or my talent in harmonizing a perfume. The 5 stars are really for the creators. They're really giving themselves 5 stars because they're the one that choose the notes. My job is just to harmonize. So you take, for example, a person comes into a studio, a musician, because you use a lot of musical metaphors in the world of perfume. You hear about top notes, bass note, heart note, and, that's accords. So it's a language. Now, so you have a guitarist, a pianist, and a violinist, and they all come together. So I see myself as the conductor, where I am telling them when to come in, what note to play at what area. But you're the one behind that instrument. You're the one with the talent. So there's a freedom of choice. My job is just to harmonize. I'm always adding. The person would come today and I'll play a saxophone while they are blending. And next time they come, I probably pulling a pianist, and there's always that space for you to sip on some fine wine while you blend. And I'm always telling a story. And so the stories have to fit the individual in which I am communicating. So that's how I ensure, optimum value and service and satisfaction.
There is so much more to get into here, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. Stick around, audience. We'll be right back.
In the Caribbean, growing our cultural economies is hampered by a scarcity of data and sometimes a scarcity of political will. Let's be real. But our young, that's you, predominantly female workforce is already doing the work in the cultural and creative industries. Y'all have the persistence, but we need more than that. Financing and policy to match. And that's a very complex process, which is what we explore in the Bachelor of Arts of Cultural and Creative Industries. So we are focusing on singing and dancing, but we are focusing how that singing and dancing builds an economy of play that creates dignity, wealth, and a future where our Caribbean brilliance is the main export. Rastaman said that when we understand these things, we see how we can incorporate culture and creativity into the plans for the development of our nations. And that's, again, what we examine in the ICS's Bachelor of Arts in Culture and Creative Industries. And in the Bachelor of Arts of Cultural and Creative Industries, you get to create your degree. You get to curate your degree with a wide range of humanities and social science subjects, from media, literature, international relations, entrepreneurship, psychology, business, and of course, cultural studies. Also, even things like philosophy, you get to explore the widest range of disciplines as you decide how you distinctly want to position yourself in the Caribbean and global cultural economy. In the CCI Bachelors at UWI, we connect the dots and we show you practically how to use your skills to advance national and regional development through the cultural and creative industries. So come join us. Come join the cultural and creative industries revolution.
As Dr. Deborah Hicklin Gordon said, come join us. Yeah, come join us over here at UE. Now, let's hear more from my co-host, Radika Myers, and Perfumer Edwin Bruce of Prince de Bruce Perfumery.
Awesome stuff. You would have touched on this briefly, but share with me. Here in Jamaica, we have a common social practice. We love to sweet up, sweet up. We're going to church, I have to get my spray on me, I sweet up, sweet up. We're going to the party, we have to sweet up, right? So with that being said, how do you see your niche fragrances connecting to and elevating daily Jamaican social rituals, from dressing for church, party, etc., to using your scent as a personal or community marker?
Well, sweet up. Boy, I tell you, and when you come good, you are remembered forever, because there's a particular Jamaican fragrance that is before you. And today, people, it's a conversational piece. It's called the couscous. That was in every house for the sweet up. Now, why I'm able to resonate with that cultural idea is because, one, I understand it. Like I said earlier, my journey has taken me through the churches, the dance hall, the art. So I'm able to identify with those spaces and what it is that they're looking for. And so sometimes, so the whole idea of sweet up is Jamaica love to dress up. And you're never fully dressed or completely dressed until you put on the right scent. And that's the idea behind it. That's the psychology of them knowing, say, yo, I'm trashing, I'm a thing tough. And then, and I see that being expressed among the entertainers. I see a lot of competition among scents. Everybody has sweet up in that space. And so the idea is to understand now what works well in that space. So for those who are going to the dance, I'm able to recommend, and I know, okay, the combination of these notes or these accords will do well in the dance hall space. These will do well in the church. Or these men who are looking to posture themselves differently or to be singled out. This is what are for the ladies who want to not just look like a dolly, speak like a dolly, she want to smell like a dolly. You know, and by that I mean very soft and attractive, you know, and because that's that. You see, the sweet up is a conversational piece. It is them saying something without having to open their mouth. It is that fragrance telling their story. So when a man walk out and look fresh and nice and clean, and want to know, say, you ever heard in Jamaica, the opposite of it all is green arm. Something that they will, if somebody wants to curse you without using profanity, and they say green arm, you know that's a, so people, we avoid that. We try to be on the other side of the spectrum, which is, I have to smell good. You can't tell a Jamaican don't smell good. So, and I understand what is needed in each of the space, because what you'd wear to church is not what you want to wear when you go dance necessarily, or you know, where you want to wear in the office. You know, when you walk into that office where the AC is different from where you walk into another place that's hot. Even the construction worker wants to smell good, even though he's out there sweating. You know, so understanding the spaces because I've navigated through most of them.
Awesome stuff. No green arm around here, period. So, Mr. Bruce, if you could whisper just 3 words of wisdom to your high school self right before you started your career journey, what would it be? And how would you encourage yourself to overcome your biggest fear about the future?
Say to my younger self would be trust your gut. Trust your gut. Because that gut feeling most times is a single voice. And it can be drowned by the crowd or noises that's coming against it. And if you worry about what others say, or because, you know, our colleague mentioned earlier about, you know, all his friends were doing different thing and he was in a space, everyone, mommy wanted him to do that. And, you know, he ended up doing the installation, even though that's not what he wanted. So trusting your gut, because when you trust your gut, what it means, one, you're not going to waste your time. And that's a currency that when spent, you cannot get it back. So you want to trust your gut. Can you imagine the fear? I usually use the acronym of fear, meaning, you know, false evidence appearing real. And if you follow that, it leads into so many disaster, into mental illness, into arguments, into a feeling of insecurity and all of that. So trusting your gut. Fear. It's for the legacy that I'm creating, not honored the way I'd like it to be. Meaning, for whoever I'm going to leave this legacy, a legacy of knowledge, legacy of accomplishment in terms of the perfume that we'll put up there. You know, so oftentimes you'll gather riches in different ways because your legacy is your riches. And the person that comes on that, you know, it's given to, sometimes they want an immediate gratification. So they'll just sell it all out for one, or they will not give it the attention that you'll give it. Like, I wouldn't want to leave this legacy in the hands of someone who doesn't value people. If you're going to get into this for just money, it's not going to work. You'll make some money, But ultimately, it's not going to be a space where you are known to be impactful, because it's going to be about you, what you can get. I'm in the perfume space to see how much I can give. And that's why I established charities. That's why I am a chairman at a school for 6 years now. And I don't ask what they can do for me. I'm always asking, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? So for me, the fear would just be, who do I pass this on to? And not necessarily when I leave this earth, but sometimes I want to rest, but I want to leave it in the hand of someone where you won't know the difference that I'm not there, because this person loved people. And I think I got that from the way I saw my mom treating people and being in the church and all that, the background. I can't help it. Person says it's my weakness, but I also say it's my strength, the way I love people. And I put that behind making a fragrance, because I will not let a bottle of fragrance go through the door that is not a scent by you, for you, that fits you.
What would you tell high school students about how to get in your career field?
Smell, 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 smell. Now I'll tell you why. Because there are two types of perfumers. There are those that are gifted, they're good at what they do, because they spend time to identify scent. If someone should come to me and say, I need this scent for a baby shower, there are two types. There's the person who can readily, from the olfactory aspect of life, know what they're going for. And then there's the other perfumer who will go to the chemistry, the organic chemistry of it, what property will work well for, and this will smell like this with that. So you have the academic, and so you're able to try to combine both. Don't just smell and say, well, I know what a pineapple smells like. You have to also understand the interaction, and that's where the organic chemistry comes in. You have to understand, and you're going to be building for brands, and so whatever you build today, when the brand comes back for refill, you must be able to execute the exact formulation. So you have to understand now that aspect of it. Know what it is, what a meniscus is, or your management, understanding your pipette. Start to familiarize yourself with the things in that space. So whenever you're here to, you're able to readily, but for me, primarily, knowing people. If you don't know people, you're only building a fragrance. But if you know people, you are helping them to write their story. That's what you're doing. To bottle them. You can't bottle someone just by understanding chemistry, because then the whole story that they're telling you is going to go over your head. So get to know people. My mom passed. She invited me the brand to Jamaica, and she passed while I was building out. And what would I say? But for a better word, I would use the word normal. At a funeral, persons would give out buttons, right? And I know you probably have gotten a few, and you're not wearing any of them right now. So usually we get them and we put them in a drawer. Before you know it, we throw them out. So what I decided to do as a memorabilia was to create a scent that would reflect our empathy, our kindness, or everything. And let me tell you something, the celebration, it's such a conversational piece. And so it's, persons continue to use it, and whenever it's finished. And so that's one of the services I offer as well too. So I would say, know people. Knowing my mom, I was able to create that scent. And when person similarly like, oh my God, Sister Douglas, it's like she not go, whoa. So that presence. If you don't know people, if you're a soft person, delicate, very quiet, I don't want to give you a loud scent that's going to announce you, because your scent should introduce you when you go into a room, be a conversational piece. And when you leave, that sillage or that trail that is left should also be a continuation of who left that room. So knowing people, you have to, so I'd say to them, you have to spend time knowing people, the personality types, what you'd give to an introvert, you would necessarily give to an extrovert. Knowing people is what, when you walk in, first thing I'm looking at after the introductory part is your skin. So I know, even though you might say to me, oh, I want this, I know that this, even though I will only extract the perfume, which is the strongest concentration, but I know that even though I have the strongest concentration, it's not the longevity, the life cycle of that fragrance is not going to be the same on your dry skin as your friend who is accompanying you has an oily skin. So knowing people, just the personality, seeing their skin, the attitude, and getting into, and once you connect with them, you build a fragrance that is now a part of them. And everybody's happy. It's a win-win. So know people.
Edwin, let's take time for chat. In this segment, each of our guests will tell us about their favorite Jamaican or Caribbean proverb or cultural reference. What is your favorite proverb?
Proverb has been for me like a Bible verse, and I say that because of the truth in it. We little, but we talawa. And it's kind of cliche. But I tell you this, every day that's proven comes to life. There is a newness about it. It never gets dull. I just saw the Reggae Boys and the performance that they, did at the National Stadium against Bermuda. And it's just, never count out a Jamaican. Don't ever count them out. That indomitable spirit. It doesn't matter who they're coming up against. If you take on track and feel that when we go out there and step on that global stage, that our rival is one of the biggest countries in the world. And we will go up against them and let the history show have been dominating for quite some time, and not just in sports, just in the world of music. And where there is no way, we'll find a way. We will carve our part. It is with the little that we have that makes us talawa. Using the little to do greatness. A young man spoke to me recently and said he went to some schools in the country, and when he saw the equipment that the track and field coach was using to train, he doesn't understand how Jamaica performs so well on an international stage, because they're very vintage, some of them, I think they basically put some iron together in order to accomplish the feat. And so it's not just the infrastructure as we only refer to the little. It's knowing that spirit that has not been encouraged or introduced in certain way, but still it is always resilient, and that belief in ourselves, that in spite of the space that we occupy and the size of it, we always see ourselves as being able to accomplish any and everything is possible.
Edwin, do you have any final words of wisdom?
I always believe in the incrementals, because if you're waiting for the basket to be filled just by because some people just want to wish their way to success, or waiting for that opportunity where the barrel come full. So those incremental steps, and he mentioned of, just in life, you have to be frugal as well when you want to get to a place. You can't be squandering here and there. And so the 1-1 cocoa, it could be one class at a time. It could be, because a lot of times we attribute this to just money. It could be you just taking a course, 1-1 cocoa, to get to that career point that you want to get to. But I want to look at the reverse side of it also. And so, to speak to those who your attitude is negative, or your belief system, or your doubt, you're also full in a basket. So you have to be careful what your cocoa looks like. Make sure you're not filling your basket with negatives. All right, so 1-1 cocoa, fill up your basket.
Thank you very much for that. And to that we say amen, because that was a word indeed. Thank you for coming to the Creative Frequency. I'm your host, Radika. Until next time, next place.
Join us in 2 weeks while we connect with and interview 2-time Grammy-nominated artist, vocalist, producer, and composer, Runkus.
Creative culture, where the vibes meet the vision.
Special thank you to our guest, Edwin Bruce. Host, Rachel and Radika Myers. Contributor, Dr. Deborah Hicklin Gordon. Our sound and audio engineer, Dr. Ray Hitchens. Musical selections produced and composed by Courtney Edwards, also known as Kingman. Our executive producer and editor, Rachel Ann Fenderson. And our ICS director, Dr. Dave Goss. The Creative Frequency podcast is brought to you by the Institute of Caribbean Studies, under the umbrella of the Faculty of Humanities and Education at the University of the West Indies, Mona. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or wherever you can catch us.